Alright, so it's the next day. I forget if I put the level on the backside here last night, but I just put it on the ground here, and it's actually pretty good on the back. That corner looks like that, and then this corner is harder to see because of the sunlight, but it's like pretty close. Okay, so as you can see, I got a new shirt on. This is actually not a totally clean shirt. I've been wearing this one as like I have to go into town and actually like interact with people kind of shirt, or at least like get close enough to them that they will be able to smell me. So now that shirt has become my let me work out in the sun all day kind of shirt. I like to do long sleeve. It's a little hotter, I guess, but there's two things, like the mosquitoes and bugs. It keeps them off better, and then like I don't have to put on sunscreen. So that is kind of my thought process. It looks like basically the worst case scenario is true. What a surprise. Basically, the rear of this container has to be lifted about an inch on both sides. As you saw yesterday, I was having some trouble lifting this, so I have a few more tricks up my sleeve. I'm gonna try to move the gravel back here around so the floor jack can get in there easier and like more straighter, more leveler, I guess. I also realized I have a bottle jack that's, I think it's rated over 10 tons, so that is another option. I also decided to take things like slower. I think I was like trying to do things too fast, and I noticed like I'm dinging my my good hand into like rocks and cement blocks and stuff. So I just want to be like very safe and not hurt myself any more than I already have. Oh, all right, so I hand dug. It actually looks a lot cleaner now, huh? There's more dirt in the given area than you think there is. What was I doing? Okay, so I violated one of my rules and I didn't have a drink on hand, so I'm gonna grab some water. I'm losing a lot of salt too, so I'm thinking I should probably start to take more electrolytes than I have been doing. It's hot. All right, so even with the flattening and trying to lift on one edge and the plywood underneath, the jack isn't strong enough. Container, there's too much crap in it. If I was desperate, I would probably empty the container, but I'm not desperate yet. I'm gonna bring out the bottle jack and see how that does. All right, so I'm not feeling super great about the bottle jack either. It hasn't lifted it at all because it's just digging that piece of wood into the ground. And I lost the extension handle for it. I guess I could build another one, but can't really think of anything I can use quickly. Basically, when I'm jacking it up, my face is like right next to the jack, so that is not a very comforting feeling with all the pressure that's on there. I think we're gonna try the farm jack. Right, I think I might be maybe done for today due to the weather. It's supposed to be raining, some thunder showers in an hour or two, and with the farm jack, I feel like I want to practice with it before I try lifting this thing. So I gotta get it out of the box, read the manual, watch some YouTube videos, and by the time I do that, it's probably gonna be raining or close to it. So I actually thought of another way. Like this is the back and I'm trying to lift it upward from here. All I remembered was that when I was lifting this side, the broader side, I didn't lift it very high, but I was able to do it using the floor jack. So I'm thinking I can probably do the same thing on this side. I see another problem. I'll show you in a second, but yeah, I'm thinking I can probably do the same thing on this side. The only problem on this side is I have less clearance on the bottom of the container. Like towards the front, I have some space, but as I go towards the back, it was built into a hill by digging. So if I do need to get closer to the rear to lift it, it could be a bunch of digging I need to do. Might be a good chance to try out the backhoe. I don't know, we'll see. So this block cracked. I think what I said before about not being too careful about having the blocks like super level, I'm gonna take that back. Basically, it looks like there wasn't enough fill material underneath the block to be able to support it in the middle. So, and I'm also thinking that this probably cracked when I was like lifting it up and down and dropping it with a bunch of force. I don't know. Oh, this one cracked too. Yeah, so I mean, even with the crack, it'll be fine because the crack is like not a load bearing spot. Yeah, they're both basically the edges of where the load bearing is. I think I'll leave them there for now. Okay, ran into one more problem. I would say if you're putting up blocks in the front of your container, don't put it in the middle. Something changed and I can't get this handle to fully lock. I'm hoping once I take out those front blocks, it'll be malleable enough for me to jerk that thing in. But I guess if you're like putting your thing on blocks, you know, just use the corners. There's a reinforced spot right here. Different containers are built differently, but you can kind of see where it will be the strongest. Or like on the sides here, it's kind of an I-beam. If that doesn't fix itself when I get the thing out of the middle, it's not that bad. So it's probably just a matter, I can just like grind off a little bit from the latches and that should work fine. So I've been digging and jacking this thing up and it worked. I guess from the longer side, the weight is less in the middle because I put all this heavy stuff in the back, and I guess it's also more distributed. So it's like lifted probably 3-4 inches from that rear left block. It rained, and since I've been digging, it's pooling, so I'm gonna need to fill that in at some point. It's gonna be drier over I think the next 3-4 days, so hopefully I can get this thing all done. All right, so I'm just gonna drop this jack and then let it sit on the blocks. We're gonna raise the cement block up 1 inch, probably more like 1.5, because I'm guessing that it's sunk in more deeply since the last time. Okay, so I actually did try the farm jack before I did use the floor jack. The reason why I did it was because it was just easier to get it under there. See, with the floor jack, I had to dig that huge hole in order to get it under. But with the farm jack, you don't really need to do that. With just like one arm, like I'm not really comfortable pushing with my left down like really hard with my left hand yet. it was nowhere near close to having enough strength to lift the container with all the stuff in it. But I'm super happy it's up now, and I can start to work on this left rear block. Okay, so before I talked about one kind of a trick where if you lift from the long end, it's actually easier to lift. Another thing that I found was there are parts of the container that are more reinforced, where there's like an eye or like a cross beam or something like that that's welded together. So if you lift on one of those points, it's actually somewhat easier, I guess, because there's less flex. So for example, this last time I was trying to lift just on like this random fold here, and that's actually not an eye, it just folds out. And basically when you're lifting, you're putting all the pressure on this one piece of steel, and it's about like, it's not that thick, right? It's about as thick as that. So I was finding the 2.5 ton jack wouldn't lift after a certain point. But when I put the jack right on this intersection, I was able to lift it. So I'm guessing it's because it's like a lot stiffer where this cross is, that enables the weight to be more distributed. So it's not like, weight's not distributed on a single line. It's like a cross, and it goes all the way to the other side. So I don't know, I'm really tired, so I'm not describing that well, but I think you understand. The reason why I'm actually doing this in the first place instead of other things is because I need to move stuff out of the cabin. I really wanted to get these containers to a good place before I started to move stuff from the cabin into the containers. Mostly what's left in the cabin is like my tools, workbench, and stuff like that. So it's mostly the container behind me that's gonna receive the most attention, or like movement of stuff from the cabin into the container. But I figured if I move everything and then square and level it, then it's gonna be harder to square and level when there's like stuff in there. And I've already like organized stuff. So back to this container that I just finished leveling. It looks pretty damn perfect. From left to right, it looks very, very good. You can see the green mark there from the laser. I lifted the back a little too much. I would say it's about 1/4 of an inch higher in the back than it is in the front, which I'm fine with, because I think there's a greater chance things are gonna sink in the back because there's more weight there, and also because I was doing a lot of digging, and just like there's a lot of mud back here. So not a lot of mud, but there's some amount of mud back there. So that one's cracked. I'm probably gonna lift that and take out half of the piece and use it on the other container. I just put, for the ones that were cracked, I kind of divided it up and brought the other half to use on another corner. It was easier to kind of lift and move around. If I put a new block there, there's a pretty good chance that it would crack while I'm like playing around with the positioning. So I think long term, when I'm ready to revisit these blocks to make them more like aesthetically pleasing, I'm gonna probably use full blocks or wood or something. I don't know. I have a lot of time to think about that because there's like so many other things to do, and this is not gonna be on my mind again for another at least probably 2 years. So I'm gonna call that good.